Anyone who loves comedy movies, particularly the ones of the 2000s, is familiar with the belief that you could never make these movies nowadays. Whether it's Superbad, Dude, Where's My Car, or Tropic Thunder, these movies are riddled with controversy, and many believe these could never be made in today's landscape. While I don't agree with this notion at all and touched on it a bit in a prior video that you can find linked below in the description, I also think a lot of the humor in movies and television comes from characters who aren't politically correct and possess many unbecoming qualities.
Yeah, I got a whole subreddit of superhero thong shots.
I also think that completely wiping out characters with off-putting beliefs has done more harm than good, and comedy movies in particular. Take a quote from Jenna Ortega from an interview she did with Vanity Fair back in August. "The business we work in is so touchy-feely. Everybody wants to be politically correct, but I feel like in doing that, we lose a lot of our humanity and integrity because it lacks honesty." End quote. And I think this is the exact reason why a lot of modern comedies fall flat. While movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Superbad, and The Hangover have genuine, relatable characters who are deeply flawed and don't always say the right things, most modern comedies lack any of this, and so the characters feel flat. They don't feel like real people, and thus they become impossible to connect with. And Vince Vaughn, my favorite comedic actor of all time, echoes this exact sentiment. In an August interview in Variety, he says, "I don't know anyone who's like, I really love someone making a character be as polite and evolved as possible. If anything, it's like, can we get away with this? I remember when we shot Wedding Crashers, we were going super R-rated. And we would do stuff and it was fun because we were almost making a movie for ourselves to be funny and there were no parents around," end quote. And Wedding Crashers is a perfect example of a film that doesn't play it safe, has deeply flawed characters that we can relate to, and ended up becoming a hit and what I consider to be the best all-around movie ever made.
The proper girl in the hat just the shit out of me. Sorry.
And even crossing genres to an extent. Martin Scorsese, and to a greater degree Quentin Tarantino, regularly break social norms and what is considered to be acceptable in their movies. But these two are widely considered to be two of the greatest writers and directors of all time because they take the risks and because they follow their vision to a T. And they don't worry about what controversy may come as a result of the characters in their movie. And this hits home for me personally. When I was in the hiring phase for my upcoming comedy feature, Hometown Summer, I was minutes away from signing someone onto my crew who, mind you, was about to be hired in a position that had no relation whatsoever to the actual writing or directing of the film. And she brought to me a list of grievances with the screenplay that she said I had to delete or change in order to make the movie because it didn't fit her standards for political correctness. She even took it a step further and requested I hire an extra crew member who would be in charge of making things don't get too offensive on set, especially when doing improv takes. Needless to say, I of course moved on and never put ink to paper with her. But the very thought that something like this could happen on a studio film and completely compromise my vision is horrifying. I mean, think of your favorite characters in your favorite comedy movies. I would challenge you to think of even one of them that is an upstanding citizen. You probably can't, because even though being polite and mature and treating everyone with respect are great qualities in the real world, they don't translate comedically on screen. I think we at least already have hit rock bottom with respect to this, and I think we're on the way to making more genuine movies. I think Deadpool and Wolverine really crossed some boundaries that people would have been terrified to cross even 2 years ago. I mean, you see the Tom Brady roast breaking the streaming record for Netflix original, and last I checked, Dave Chappelle is doing just fine.
He said, "Careful, Dave, they after you." I said, "What? One they or many theys?"
And if you're looking for more optimism with respect to comedy movies, you can watch the video above.